Michael, welcome to the Connect Show.
Well, thank you, Judy. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, well, yes, but of course we've all seen all these signs. It's that time of year, so we have all the signs out there, and it means the primary is coming up.
It certainly does. And this primary here in Southwest Florida is rather unique. Typically, we have elections that are open. We have elections that are closed, which means it's a single party. But in our race, it's an open election, which means it doesn't matter what your party affiliation is, you get a chance to vote.
Okay, all right. And now last week we had Senator Benaquisto on, and so it's nice that you're able to come on. So let's give our viewers a little background, who you are as a person.
Sure. Well, I'm a small business owner.
Okay.
I moved my business to Lee County 11 years ago, including all my employees. It was the first opportunity in my entire life that I got to pick where I wanted to live.
Oh, that's a good feeling.
It is. It's just empowering, right?
Yeah.
In a quick summary, I'm a former military guy. I was a sergeant in the Army for almost 8 years, all of it overseas under President Reagan. My call to duty back then was when the Ayatollah Khomeini took over our embassy.
Oh, okay.
So I felt the calling to serve. And after the military, I got back into industry. I continued my education. I got a bachelor's degree in professional aeronautics, a master's in management, an executive certificate from the Darden School of Business, and a doctorate from George Washington in human resource and organizational development.
You're just an education junkie there, huh, Michael?
Sometimes when we're inspired as in our youth, and sometimes we aren't raised with a lot of privilege. And I found that I love to learn.
That's great.
It is. But so I worked my way from the shop floor all the way up to the boardroom. And 13 years ago, I started my own business. And I love being independent and empowered.
And living where you want to live.
And living where I want to live, which is on Pine Island, of all places.
Oh, that's a great spot.
Yes.
Okay, so Michael, I also know that you're a grandfather, which means you have a son?
I have a son. I actually have a son his name is Sean. He's 32 years old. I have 3 wonderful grandchildren, 2 boys, 1 girl. Perfect. I also have 2 stepsons from I have a fiance, but I refer to her boys as my stepsons. One's on his way off to FSU this weekend.
Wow. Okay, some tears will be shed there for Mama.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Now, tell us a little bit. I know that there's many issues that we're facing in the country and in the state, but I know there's a couple that are near and dear to your heart. One is Common Core.
Yes.
I have to admit, I just got my first education on it today, a little earlier, but let's talk about that. What do we need to know?
Well, frankly, Common Core, there's 2 directions of Common Core that we need to understand. One is that it's a federalization of our K-12 education system, which, from my perspective, I like to have self-control, local control over education, being able to speak directly with teachers, the school board, influence curriculum. Well, once it becomes federalized, we don't have that ability to influence anymore. The second is the quality of the curriculum, the standards, the content, the textbooks. That's all going to be dictated to us, so we no longer have the determination of, as a parent, what we want our children to learn. That's fundamentally wrong. So I've been endorsed by Stop Common Core Florida as a champion to stop Common Core in Florida, and it is a state issue. It's not a federal issue.
What do you mean by that? It's a state versus a federal. If it's being dictated by the federal, we can still decide in a state? Well,
see, it's not the federal government that's dictating it. It's attached to federal dollars through the Department of Education.
Okay.
The state, the legislator, they get to put a bill out, and that happened in 2013. It's called SB 1076, that essentially made Common Core the law in Florida, which now links all those federal dollars from the federal government to the states to the counties. The state also has the discretion of saying, we're not going to do Common Core. And many states in the United States have opted out. And it doesn't influence the flow of dollars. All it requires us to do is have the fortitude to stand up against the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. and say, we're not going to accept those terms and conditions with those dollars.
Okay, so where is Florida now?
We're in Florida. Where in Florida now?
Where is Common Core? Did they say yes, they want it in the state?
Well,
or?
yeah, so last year it became law.
Okay.
So if Common Core is law in Florida. There is an incredible groundswell coming back from parents and teachers saying, this is not what we want. We didn't ask for this. And if you look at most of the politicians running in this primary and for the general election in November, they're running on platforms that say they're going to be opposed to it. But the reality is, in this last legislative session, there wasn't even a hearing on it. So I believe that we measure somebody's commitment by their actions. And we didn't see anything in 2014 to stop Common Core.
Okay, so it's going to be a battle to have it overturned.
Well, it can happen in one legislative session.
Okay.
And the counties can also take action. For instance, this past week in Lee County, the school board voted to opt out of the high stakes testing. So what we have now is we've actually removed recess out of some of our curriculum for the kids. And this isn't good because kids need to get rid of some of this energy during the day. And we've replaced it with more study time for the examinations, for the tests. We're teaching them the test. I mean, so I really believe that education should be a rich experience, that kids need to learn the content, not the test.
Not to pass the test.
Not the
I
test.
agree.
Yeah.
All right, Michael, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about water quality.
Thank you, Judy.
Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Connect Show. We're talking with Michael Dreikorn, candidate for state senate. All right, Michael, water quality. Talk to us about that. I know you're very passionate about that topic.
Before the break, I told you this was the first chance in my entire life that I got to pick where I wanted to live. Water had a big deal in that decision. The environment, it had to be ecologically sound. And it also had to be a conservative refuge. When I say conservative, I meant with principles. But when I look a little bit deeper now to where we are in our water quality, our water, we see the algae blooms coming, we see the Okeechobee and the Caloosahatchee just not being what we want, brown water coming down the river. There's a lot that needs to be done. And the reality is that we're not putting our money where our mouth is with regards to improving the problem. This past legislative session, they approved $18 million for a reservoir off the Okeechobee, and essentially to drain part of the Caloosahatchee into that. Now, the reality is that reservoir is supposed to maintain some of the salt levels during the dry season. And it costs $547 million to finish. So the $18 million that they put towards the project isn't going to get it done. Now, I think as a business guy, if I'm going to start a project, I want to make sure I have the resources to finish the project. And I want to be, so I would say, if it's a big problem, and I believe water quality is a big problem in Florida, let's put our money where our mouth is.
That sounds like a loaded topic, but good input. And I remember going to the beach last year with my family. We rented a cottage and the water was brown. It was so discouraging.
Well, and it's not just the quality of our life.
Right.
It's our economy.
Yeah.
We are a service industry, tourism. If people don't believe our water is good, they're not going to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, Michael, personally, first, always grateful that the Lord gives us all different callings. And I'm grateful I'm not in the medical field, and I'm grateful I'm not in the political arena. So now I think that you have to have a lot of stamina. What led you to make this decision to run?
Yeah, it's a calling. This is definitely a calling. I'm not a politician. I've never been elected to anything other than the Bokeelia Civic Association.
Okay.
But I felt this absolute need to serve. And the reason why is I look around at the actions of those that we elect, and they're not consistent with what they promise. And we don't have to look very far when we talk about our medical care and we talk about our education system, we talk about our water. So I feel that I have been called to provide leadership. I'm not a timid man. I'm not worried about re-elections. I am being called to make a difference. And like I said earlier, my first calling was when we had a national need. Our embassy was taken over in Tehran. I feel the same way here. And as far as, I have no ambitions of being a politician, but I have surrendered myself to God in this matter completely, because it is so emotionally draining and financially draining.
Oh, I can imagine. I think I said it to the senator last week, like, why would you want to? Yet I'm grateful for people that are willing to say, wait, we can make a difference.
And I believe in the system. I believe in the process, that people, the citizens have the ability to self-govern. And that we should all have the ability to stand up and lead, given the opportunity.
And sometimes, there's that complacency sets in and we just get busy with our own lives, and then we say, wait, how did that happen? And like you said earlier, what % of people are votes? We need to encourage people to get out there and vote.
In this part of Florida, we rarely get more than 20% of the people to show up to vote. I don't understand that. But because I frequently hear more than 20% of the people complaining about the issues we have. If you want to make a difference, you got to educate yourself on the issues, on the candidates, decide for yourself, and get out and vote. And that's next Tuesday.
Right. That's coming up fast.
It is. It is.
And Michael, just real quick, I know you're pro-life.
I'm very pro-life.
Speak to that.
I've been endorsed by Personhood, which is a movement here in Florida that it focuses on the right to life, preservation of life from the point of conception, no exceptions.
Okay. All right. Well, look forward to Tuesday and your hard work. And one question I didn't ask, what type of business do you have in Lee County?
Yeah, I have a consulting, engineering, and professional education business that focuses on the aerospace and defense industry.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's great. So you're serving and working with clients all across
all over the world.
All over the
world.
But
that's another thing I want to bring to this part of the region. We could actually develop a manufacturing base here that provides a greater economic basis for our society. I believe we're focused too myopic on the service industry. We need to add to that and provide good jobs for everybody.
That's great. All right, Michael. Well, thank you for taking time coming on the Connect show, and thank you for being willing to serve, and good luck to you next week.
Thank you, Judy.
All right.
Pleasure.